Hello YouTubers, today we're taking advantage of an invitation to video this Muir Hill 121 hard at work. This class Arian was working in the same field, so we took the opportunity to film it as well. I'm starting to get a number of invites to film tractors at work, and as long as they're reasonably close to home, I'll be there. Our next tractor was this little D2 working on some Cambridge rolls. Muir Hill launched their Series 2 tractor range in 1971, consisting of the 111, the 121 and the 161. This 121 uses the Ford 2715E engine producing 120 horsepower. When this tractor was built, four-wheel drives were as rare as a two-wheel drive is today. There were a number of manufacturers that built four-wheel drives, and by far the most popular tractor base unit was the Ford. The big competitors to the Muir Hill were the County and the Roadless, and the key feature that set it apart from them was the front axle that gave an extra tight turning circle. We catch up with this tractor preparing land for spring barley in the rolling hills of Rutland, and you can see why in this part of the world four-wheel drive was quite a popular option. The Muir Hill wasn't the only tractor in the field. There was this class Arian too, and it was here to tidy up the headlands, a lot easier with a reversible than with a conventional plough. In the days before mechanisation, this land would have probably been down to grass. It would have been just too difficult to do anything with. And that's why traditionally there's been a lot of livestock farming in this part of the world. Any attempt to work this really strong land with horses would have been extremely difficult. It wasn't until steam power came along in the mid-19th century that people started to consider cultivating some of the more difficult land. And this is quite a famous illustration of a very early steam plough set being demonstrated at the Rutland ploughing match in the mid-19th century. If you'd only ever used a horse, this must have been something very special. It took a long while, but eventually steam ploughing settled into a 2-engine system with 1 engine at each end of the field winching the plough backwards and forwards. Ploughing sets were very expensive, so they were often owned by local contractors who would go from farm to farm and tackle your more difficult land. Of course, many farmers preferred to leave their particularly difficult land down to grass. It wasn't until the World Wars came along that a lot of this land was brought into production to feed the country. We were wondering exactly how you'd tackle this field with a pair of steam ploughing engines, because it's got a big hill right in the middle of it. And we're just testing out how much room there is in the Muir Hill cab. 1 man and 2 sheepdogs fit in there quite comfortably. Back in the 70s, this high-level cab with lots of glass and a flat floor, and quiet enough to work all day without ear defenders, was quite unusual. It was also very different to the competition. I wonder if that affected the sales of the tractor. We're moving on now. We're still in Rutland and we're still in a traditional livestock area, but we've come to look at a Caterpillar D2 working a set of Cambridge rolls. It's been a very wet winter and the land's still quite wet underfoot, so if you've got a tractor that treads very lightly, now's a good time to bring it out the shed. The D2 was manufactured between 1938 and 1957 in Peoria, Illinois, USA. The four-cylinder diesel engine delivered about 37 horsepower at the drawbar, and starting was by a little two-cylinder petrol donkey engine. There were one or two very wet patches in this field, and you can see inside the tracks how the mud's gathering. You can also notice on the Cambridge roll how it started to pick up, unfortunately, in one or two places. But you can't leave it forever because it'll only rain again and then you won't get any of it done. Caterpillar was formed in 1925 when, after many years of conflict, the Holt and Best companies decided to merge their businesses together into one. So this year we're celebrating 100 years of Caterpillar, and if all goes to plan, we should be showing you quite a lot of caterpillar content on this channel. It occurs to me that some of the non-farmers amongst you might like a little bit of an explanation of why this field is being rolled. It's previously been drilled with spring barley, and the idea is to improve the seed to soil contact. It also smooths out the ground quite nicely and makes it easier for harvesting in a difficult year. And not so much of a problem here, but in my part of the world it presses the stones in the ground so you don't get them in the combine. The name Cambridge roll comes not from the county of Cambridge, but from Mr. Cambridge, who invented the roll in the first place. The textbooks will also tell you that the idea of the Cambridge roll with its ridged finish is to reduce the wind speed near the ground and stop high winds from cutting off the young plants, particularly in crops like sugar beet. So that's one field nearly finished, just got to tidy up the headlands now. And I need to say a big thank you to the owners for inviting me to come along and video the 121 and the D2 at work. If you've got a classic tractor that you're still using, drop me a line on Castleton Vintage Facebook Messenger and we'll see if we can tee something up. I'd love to come along and video it. So that's it for this week. Next week will be something a little bit different. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all again very soon.